My name is Kimberly. I'm based out in Austin, and I actually started my weight loss journey in October of 2019. And whenever I had started, it was so weird because I kid you not, I had woken up this day and I was looking in the mirror and I think I was just wearing like my yoga pants and a t-shirt. And I'm like, I'm going to take before and after pictures. Like at some point I want to have an after, but I'm going to take a before and just see what happens. So I'm in the mirror, I have my sports bra, I'm taking these pictures. And as of that day, I was like, I do not want to go back looking how I was looking at the time, because not that there was anything wrong with me. I just felt overweight. I felt like I wasn't, healthy. You could tell like there were so many different areas that you could notice that like I just was unhealthy at the time. And I don't know, I woke up and I felt like I needed to change. And it instantly started with me just going on walks. I would take my dog for a walk with me. He's sitting underneath me right now, but I would take him on walks. And I kid you not, like I couldn't even get maybe past a mile, without hurting. Like I felt like tired and lethargic, and it was just awful. And I told myself, I'm not going to stop. Like, it's okay. It's like nice weather out. There's so much that you could do. Just keep going. And I kept going. And, it was crazy because slowly I would start noticing changes in my body. There was, days when I would try on like my jeans and my jeans were fitting me bigger. I had like a shirt that was loose or whatever it may have been. And it was just motivation to keep going. And after a few short weeks, like other people started noticing. I tried not to really tell people I was like trying to lose weight, but they started noticing. And then other people like I hadn't seen in like, years or talked to in years would message me like, oh my gosh, are you losing weight? And it just makes you, want to keep going with it. And it was crazy because before we started actually working together, I was not eating enough at all. I don't know if you remember that. It was bad.
It was, it was what I
Yeah.
consider like what most people do. They go extremely low calorie, they
Mhm.
increase exercise, and it works for a while.
Yeah.
And then you probably start to get hungry and
Mhm.
not feel as good. It maybe slows down the progress.
Yes.
But yeah, you were not eating enough.
I was not eating enough at all. I think it was like one of the days, I think you and we had connected, and it was a great conversation, by the way. We, talked about like how I was feeling, what I was going through. I think at that point I had lost 50 pounds on my own, and that was just from walking, very light, gym sessions, and then just eating less. And we talked about, hey, let's try to track what you're eating. I was eating maybe like 1,100, 1,200 calories. It was awful. And one of the things I think that you and I had talked about was, okay, let's start getting you up to more calories. And I remember I was scared. Like, I was like, should I eat more? I'm not going to gain weight. Like, what's going to happen? But I just trusted you. I trusted the process, and I went with my gut, and I was like, okay, let's just see what happens. And I started slowly ramping up. We went to like 1,300, 1,400, 1,600. And then we got all the way up to where I'm at now. I think I'm eating like 2,000 plus and still losing weight. Like, it's so crazy. And I think that's a misconception from a lot of people is, oh, I'm going to eat too much, I'm going to gain more. And that's not the case. I enjoy carbs too. The carbs are great. I love it so much.
Also, weight training. You've gotten huge into weight training,
Yes.
like the kind of more like bodybuilding style, like
Mhm.
strict weightlifting. So when did you introduce that in the journey?
Yeah, so I introduced that. I want to say it was in January. So I'm working with my trainer, Kevin. So shout out to Kevin, he's great. But I started working with him in January, and it was slow. Like we were doing a lot of like kind of just test runs to see what I could do. Very lightweight, very, I guess, little sets I could do, what it was that I was able to with my body, because there was a lot of stuff I hadn't moved like that in years. Like I could barely do a squat with my knees feeling like they weren't gonna like break. It was insane. And it was just very lightweight at first, and then same thing, you start to see results, you start lifting more, you start being able to do more, and it just becomes an addiction. Like, it became an addiction for me. I love it so much. I actually, yesterday I was doing like dumbbell presses, and I got to 50 pounds, and I was like, oh my God, that's huge.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's exciting. Like, you just feel so good about the progress you're making, that like, you don't need validation from other people. Like, I get it from myself, from just feeling good and being able to put out, effort on my own, essentially. So
Absolutely. So kind of what motivated you to get started with getting help? Because obviously you were super successful on your own,
Mhm.
up until that point where you'd already lost 50 pounds before we even started.
Mhm.
What kind of motivated you to start, and what goals did you have for yourself when you sought out like additional help?
Yeah, I think for me, what it was is I could tell I wasn't eating enough, right? Because like we talked about, I was eating way too little. And I started like I had this ball rolling. I felt great. And then I started feeling sluggish again. I started feeling exactly how I felt like when I had started, which was just tired all the time. I had no energy, nothing. And I noticed that my body kind of plateaued. Like there wasn't any changes I was seeing, not even on the scale. Like I was trying not to focus on the scale much, but just in general, like there weren't really many changes that I could notice anymore. Like it was just very much stagnant. And so I was like, okay, if I want to take this to the next level, I need to work with someone and figure out what it is that I need to do to move forward. And that's exactly what happened. Like during our first conversation, it was very much of, what are your goals? My goals weren't necessarily to continue losing weight. That's obviously a perk to lose weight, of course, but I just wanted to feel healthy. I didn't want to feel tired anymore. I didn't want to feel like I had this burden of, oh, like I'm being held back by, my health. I can't do fun things like go on a hike or, go paddleboarding or anything. I want to be able to do all that stuff without feeling a certain way. And so that's whenever I really was like, let's dive into it and let's see how it goes. So
Absolutely. So what would you say, I kind of have one in mind, but what would you say like your biggest achievement has been so far since we've started?
so I have lost a total of 100 pounds now. Yes, it's
Amazing.
crazy. And again, it wasn't ever like, I want to, reach 100 pounds. Like that was never the goal. But as I kept going and I noticed that, I was really making progress, it just came naturally. And it was so exciting. Like I have so many before and after pictures now that I see, and I'm like, that was me a year ago. Like it's crazy.
I know it's crazy. And it happened. I mean, like, I will say, I think your consistency and your effort
Mhm.
should not go unnoticed. You're extremely consistent. You're very adherent with things. You work hard, and in turn, the results have come. And you've
Mhm.
trusted the process, even though like there have been many plateaus. There have been those situations where like weight goes up sometimes instead of down when you think it will. But you've worked extremely hard, and that 100 pounds was not lightly earned. That was a lot of hard work and a lot of hard days. But I think the coolest thing is like how your goals have shifted since too, because it probably started off as a weight loss journey and health journey.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of shifted into, I would say, like a little bit more of a strength and body composition shift.
Yeah.
So what kind of goals would you say you have now since reaching that 100 pounds lost?
Yeah, I think now it's, just little things. Like I did a race recently. It was back in October. So during my 1 year mark, it was almost like something for myself to do to prove I could do it. I did a 10K that I ran. Amazing. It was so fun. I want to continue doing those. I want to continue getting stronger and being able to like walk out of the gym feeling great, like knowing that I did well. And I also, one thing that you and I talked about was doing like a bulking session and try to go through a bulking phase. I haven't done that yet. So really pushing my body to like see what it is that I can do with it, because I've already learned I can do so much. Like there's so much there. But also just to continue growing my love for food. Like one thing you have taught me, and I appreciate this so much, Becca, you have no idea, but one thing you've taught me is like, there's no foods that are like you're restricted from. Like you should be able to eat what you eat. I remember you would always get on to me saying like, there's no good or bad foods, like stop, because there's not. Like now I've learned I can really eat like what I want to eat. I enjoy it. It doesn't feel like I'm on a diet. Like when people ask, are you dieting? No, I don't diet. It's like just foods that I enjoy that I've learned how to incorporate into my everyday, meals. And I want to be able to continue, going on with that and seeing what I can play with and what recipes I can learn. So it's
I love
super
that.
exciting.
Totally.
Mhm.
And, we found what you feel best consuming and what, are easy things to fall back on during
Right.
weeks like in Texas when you guys lost power and
Oh
you
gosh.
were able to make it super simple. Like,
Mhm.
shout out to you for probably being the only person I know that stuck to macros cooking within like 30-minute time frames randomly when you would get power
That-
back on.
oh,
Um,
that's crazy.
it was insane. But yeah, I mean, it's all about how you feel.
Mhm.
And part of how you feel is happiness and, satisfaction from food, not just food being a means to an end with a weight or a
Right.
body.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that that has been part of the journey, because you came to me and I had to kind of like pull the hair a little bit and be like, you need to start eating differently because you're eating the exact same foods every
Yeah.
day.
I
and
know. I
you're
think
going to
you
get
even said
bored.
like you're eating too clean, and I'm like, oh gosh, too clean. Like I thought that's what it was, and no. And now I can like, I love cupcakes. I know you love donuts. Like we have a sweet tooth, and it's like I can eat a cupcake and not feel bad about it. Like I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I had a cupcake. I need to go to the gym and work it off. Not the case at all. I just keep going like normal, and it's so nice, so
Yeah,
nice.
absolutely. So, what would you say your favorite thing about the process has been? Enjoying different foods, progress? What do you feel has been the most important to you during this journey, kind of working together?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just having the guidance. Like, I feel like before, you can see a lot online and you read a lot on, I'm sure, Instagram, Pinterest, like Google, everywhere. There's so much stuff about weight loss, and you don't really know, okay, what's right or what's wrong. I feel like some people are putting mixed messages out there. You have to eat a certain way, you have to lose a certain amount of weight in a certain amount of time. And I think my biggest thing has been trusting you, trusting the process, and that things take time. It's not an overnight, I'm going to see 100-pound weight loss in like 6 months. Like that's not the case. It takes time. And that's, I think, been the biggest thing is learning to take a step back and not rush, like try to enjoy the process as I go along, and take it day by day as I can. So,
Absolutely. How would you like summarize the experience? Because I know we've been working together now a little bit over a year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, in that journey, like, how would you summarize your experience with it and, what you've learned and the guidance that you feel you've gotten?
I just, oh my gosh, I love it. Like, obviously, we're still working together because I love it so much. Like, there's just so much to learn. And I feel like I get to a point where I'm comfortable and I feel like, oh, I think I know they're like all that I need to know. And I'll notice like something weird, like we were talking about bloating, like I'll notice that and then I'll bring it up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. And it's just great because it's a constant learning cycle, right? Like, with our bodies, it's not one size fits all. It's not that everyone fits into a box. Like we all have different ways of learning and of, absorbing information. And I feel like that's just been one of my favorite things. It's just learning about the process. I love it so much. I think, you and I have talked about it. I want to go into getting my certification eventually
Yeah.
for nutrition because you made me love it. Like I love it so, so much. So it's
Yeah.
just, I think that's the biggest thing. And also just having someone to talk to about it, right? Like to talk about health type questions or even just how I'm feeling mentally or, physically if I'm noticing different changes because you can't do that with everybody. And so just being able to have an outlet each week, we do our wins and struggles, like of what happened in the week. And it's great. Like it's just a great way for us to have a conversation about what's going on in life and how to
Yeah.
make improvements. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because I mean, we can't learn it all in a matter of a couple months.
Oh, no.
It
Yeah.
is I mean, nutrition is a constant journey. And even in the year that we've worked together, like there's been a lot of different times where we've changed what we're doing because
Mhm.
of your current life situation.
Yeah.
Whether it's stress, whether it's training, whether it's goals, like all of those things.
COVID.
I know. All
COVID.
of these things ebb and flow.
Yeah.
And so your nutrition should ebb and flow with it. And
Mhm.
you've been a great, great, great client and student with it all. And I love that you love it as much as we do. So if you were to recommend coaching to anyone, like a best friend, potential client, like what would you say to them if they were a little nervous about like taking the plunge into hiring a coach to help with nutrition and health?
Yeah, I think I would tell them first off, I think the biggest thing I've learned, don't look at the scale as often as you think you need to. That for sure. Like
I
I feel
didn't tell
like
you to say that, by the way.
yeah. No, you didn't. Do not look at the scale. Like, obviously, you will notice results in other ways, like we talked about earlier, with like, your clothes fitting differently. I noticed like my hair, my nails, my skin was looking better. Like, just letting them know that you'll notice your weight loss and you'll see it in your journey in various other ways versus just the scale. Like, the scale is not your tell all, like, oh my gosh, I'm losing weight. You don't need to be constantly on the scale. That's a big thing. But
Yeah.
also too, I think letting someone know that, again, it's a journey. It's nothing that's going to happen overnight, and just to take it as it goes, like be able to be open and honest, not to feel like you have to lie that I ate pizza. Like, no, like share that information. Don't feel bad about eating a pizza and not sharing it with, with you guys. And, just feeling like, you're there to guide. It's not like, oh, some type of like, I don't know, weird, I guess, interaction where it's like you're superior. No, we're like on the same page. We know and trust each other dearly with our information. So
Yes, yes.
feeling just comfortable, I guess.
We're
And
not here to judge. We are here to help.
yeah,
And the
exactly.
last thing that I want to ask, because I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with, is like, because you mentioned like there's so much information out there, there's so much free stuff out there. Why invest in a coach? Like, why take the plunge of like spending the money to invest in your health, invest in your goals, invest
Yeah.
in those things when, I think a lot of times social media or Google makes it seem like you should be able to do it on your own. And some people can for sure, but what would you give advice to someone that like is nervous to invest or hesitant to invest in themselves?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing would be if, you do see something online, right? Half the time it's a product that's being recommended to take, like some supplement, some magic pill that's going to give you weight loss. And you're probably going to spend your money investing in that stuff, like, anyways. And later down the line, maybe, a couple weeks, a few months, you're going to notice it's not going to work because there's no magic solution. There really isn't, and I think just one of the things for me personally was I was spending so much on food, just eating out alone. Like I would eat out all the time thinking I was eating healthy or this or that. And it was just, all this money was going to unnecessary things, to things I was trusting on the internet, and also stuff that, I was just spending money on because it was food. And so taking that and reinvesting it in yourself and to your health goals and nutrition just is much better of a solution. You can also you'll see more of a result from it, right? Because you're getting trusted advice from someone. You know that the advice you're getting is tailored to you. It's not, again, for multiple people. Like you're hearing what's specific to you based on your health and, any complications you might have, anything like that. And so it really is better just to allow it to be an investment within you versus investing in a company that probably has no idea that you're trying out their product, and they probably don't even care. So,
I know.
yeah,
That's the thing that I tell people all the time, like these companies don't care about you.
you
Like they,
know.
I will be totally 100% honest. I care about all of my clients. Like
Mhm.
I think about them all the time. I think about their successes and what
Yeah.
more I can do to help them.
Mhm.
And so I totally agree. Unfortunately, there's a lot of, I mean, the supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's,
Mhm.
it's there to make money.
Yeah,
So thank you so much.
of
I'm
course.
so glad that we could connect and kind of talk through this. And, I'm glad that it has helped you as much as it has.
Yes.
Worked very hard, so you deserve all of the things that you've gotten.
Thank
And so thank you again so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you too. I appreciate it.